Big boy fever seems to have really gripped the northeastern United States lately, and I'm no exception. Granted, what else might one expect when something like this shows up on one's doorstep? For a long time I'd said to myself, no way I'll ever get a model of 4014. Well, has anyone else ever noticed that whatever you scoff at you later get into, or is that just my dumb luck? So, yes, I have started putting together an HO-scale rendition of 4014's East Coast Tour train. In this video, I will walk through the whole train as it actually is and go over what many of the options are to model it car by car. As many of you may have noticed, I'm not a rivet counter. I'm not going for 100% accuracy. I believe good enough is good enough. That being said, if you want to go exact car for car, that's your call. I'm trying to do this on some semblance of a budget. As of the publishing of this video, the train is still on its return trip to Cheyenne, Wyoming. 4014's consist has changed a good deal throughout the tour, but I will focus first on the train as it was from Chicago eastward, then circle back to the changes the consist has gone through during the trip. My train collection is mostly HO scale, so that's what I will be focusing on in this video, but I will take a quick look at some of what can be found in N scale later on in the video. Going in order, we start with the obvious, Union Pacific Big Boy 4014. At present, Broadway Limited Imports is offering accurate versions of 4014 as it appeared on the Coast to Coast tour in both East and West Coast versions, the biggest difference being the shield number plate. These are currently due for delivery in the spring of 2027. I am making plans to get an East Coast version in stealth so I can put my own decoder on. Athearn also makes big boy models, but at the moment I'm not aware of them making one with the stripes and white walls, nor do I presently see a 4014 pre-order offer, though that may change. The two auxiliary tenders are up next. Scale Trains pretty much has these cornered, with the next delivery run expected sometime this month, July of 26, according to their website. Now for the diesels. Union Pacific 1616, the Abraham Lincoln, joined the train for the West Coast portion of the tour and again at Steamtown. Walthers is currently offering this engine in their mainline range with an intended delivery in fall of 26. Next up is Norfolk Southern 1776, the Belle, which joined the train in Chicago. This SD70 Ace is not currently being offered, but I suspect it will be in the future. Same for Union Pacific 1776, which joined the eastern portion of the tour at Sidney, Nebraska. UP 1776 may not be hard to make yourself with some decal work if you can find an SD70M model with the flag paint scheme. Now for the passenger stock. I will start out by saying that the majority of the Union Pacific Heritage fleet has been produced pretty accurately in some form by Walthers, either in their tan box or proto ranges. Finding exact cars can be difficult and expensive in the second-hand market, so I will point out some alternatives I have found where possible. The first four cars are support cars for the locomotive and steam crew. The first is the baggage car Art Lockman, a 6-axle American Car and Foundry baggage car. Walthers has offered this car before, but it can be a little hard to find. I am sure it will sell very well if Walthers were to do another production run, wink wink nudge nudge. If you can't find the Walthers proto model, there are other baggage car models out there which may be close enough for your liking, though they may need some kit bashing to taste. Following that, we have the Howard Fogg, a power and tool car that runs with UP's steam engines. Broadway Limited Imports have said they are developing a model of this car, but it is still in the design phase, so it will probably be a while before orders are taken. Until then, the closest thing I have found is this Walthers Baggage Dorm car. A more budget-friendly option may be the Walthers Mainline Baggage Lounge Combine in UP colors. It's not exact, but it has a similar external layout and may be close enough for one's liking. Behind that is the Lynn Nystrom, a slightly shorter 4-axle baggage car. No exact model exists to my knowledge, aside from maybe a custom car from eBay. I personally would put just about any armor yellow baggage car in this slot. Next up is the Willie James, which was rebuilt from a 10.6 sleeping car. Inside it's totally different, but outside it still looks like a 10.6. Walthers has churned out I don't know how many mainline range 10.6 sleepers, so those are always an option. But this car used to carry the name Caberton, and Walthers' proto-heritage models of Caberton have actually been on sale at the time of this video's creation. However long that lasts, I don't know. It's the same car, same number, just the old name. Some use of decals may bring it up to date. Now we get away from the support cars and into the Heritage Fleet passenger cars that joined the train at Omaha. We'll start with Power Car 2055. The only place I have seen an accurate model of this car is a custom model maker on eBay with an asking price of $300. Personally, I plan on acquiring a Broadway Limited Imports model of Power Car 2066. While the two look remarkably different, I'm swapping in a car that serves the same function. That would be close enough for me. Behind that is a car named Pony Express, which at a glance appears to be a former RPO car. I got a Walthers mainline Bud RPO car to represent this car, but there are other Walthers models out there that might be closer. Next up is the Dome Coach Challenger. I got lucky and found a Walthers model of UP's other Dome Coach, Columbine, on eBay. Walthers has made the Challenger before, but it can be a little squirrely to track down. Walthers has also offered a more budget-friendly dome car in UP paint before in the mainline product range, so that might be a workable substitute. Following that, we have the Promontory. Externally, almost an identical twin of Art Lockman. Internally, it's a mobile museum. Like the Lockman, this car has been made by Walthers, but is hard to find. Again, a baggage car is a fair substitute, and again, I think Walthers would do well if they ran this model again. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, poke, poke. Following that is Deluxe Bedroom Sleeper Omaha and Dining Car City of Denver. I went in a slightly odd direction here. Yes, you can get similar sleeping cars and diners made by Walthers, but at the moment in the used market, it appears you are looking at about $100 a piece or more. This may change, but appears to be the current situation. I ended up acquiring a Walthers mainline dining car and Walthers lounge car. The window configuration of the diner is close enough to represent the sleeper, at least to me, and the larger lounge windows look more like the city of Denver, so that's the route I went. It comes down to personal preference, though. Following those is the Walter Dean, a dome lounge that was once an observation car, you can tell by the rounded end. I found a decent deal on a Walthers Proto full observation car for the city of Los Angeles, so I coupled that in. I may have to paint the truck silver to match the train, and the full sign on the end may be distracting to some, but I think it's a good stand-in. Again, there are Walthers Proto versions of these heritage cars out there, but they do command a premium right now. Finally, at least among the Union Pacific cars, is Business Car 101, the Lincoln. Broadway Limited Imports is about the only game in town for these cars, though a Bachmann heavyweight observation could be an option for a stand-in on a budget. I found a model of the Lincoln with the older Big Boy Tour drumhead, which is similar but not exact to the drumhead the car carried on this trip. These cars will currently run you about $110 from the right retailer, but now and then appear on BLI's refurbished outlet for less. I would be surprised if BLI did not do a coast-to-coast Big Boy Tour version of this car in a future production run, but that's just speculation on my part. Now we get into the Norfolk Southern cars added in Chicago. Running backwards is NS Business Car Number 1, the Virginia, followed by NS 14, the Missouri, then NS 24, Superdome, Delaware, and closing off with NS 30, the Marco Polo, FDR's one-time private car. This is an area where, and again this is pure speculation, I think BLI might step in. Effectively, Virginia and Marco Polo are just heavyweight observation cars. One NS Tuscan Red and the other Pullman Green. I would be surprised if we don't see both liveries on BLI's heavyweight business cars in future. For now, I'm using Norfolk and Western Business Car Number 200 and the Strasburg Railroad's President's Car as stand-ins, as I already have them on hand. Broadway Limited Imports did make the Ferdinand Magellan, a sister car to the Marco Polo, and I have seen people using that as a stand-in for the Polo already. NS 14, the Missouri, is part of the NS Executive Train fleet, but I do not recognize its configuration right off the bat. I'm not aware of any ready-to-run models of it, but I have placed a pre-order with Scale Trains for their Fox Valley Powhatan Arrow dining car in Norfolk Southern paint. I intend to use that as a stand-in. I may or may not have tossed the NS theater car Buena Vista into my test runs of the consist once or twice for fun. Then there's the Superdome, Delaware, NS 24. The only manufacturer I know to have made a model of this car at the moment is Bachmann, and interestingly enough, those cars seem to have vanished from the internet all of a sudden. Your guess is as good as mine as to why. That being said, I think there's a good possibility that Walthers or Bachmann will produce a model of the car before long. Otherwise, it would not be too terribly difficult to make the car oneself with little paint and decal work. Let's circle back a little. At the beginning of the eastern leg of the tour, 4014 departed Cheyenne with 13 freight cars behind the 4 service cars. From Cheyenne to Sydney, 4014 ran unassisted, picking up UP 1776 for the run from Sydney to Omaha. The 13 freight cars were the 5 TTX boxcars painted for the 250th, 2 more regular TTX boxes, 2 short-covered hoppers, 4 long-covered hoppers, and Snowbus Caboose 25809. All 5 of the 250th boxcars are being produced by Walthers as mainline models, as are some regular TTX boxcars configured the same way. As for Union Pacific covered hoppers, you can get those just about anywhere. The Snowbus Caboose is a rebuilt bay window caboose, and there are plenty of generic bay window Union Pacific caboosen out there. If you want an exact model, Athearn is coming out with one with an expected delivery time frame of spring 2027. Just to go over the consist changes from Cheyenne to Altoona. From Cheyenne to Sydney on day 1, the train consisted of 4014, the auxiliary tenders, Art Lockman, Howard Fogg, Lynn Nystrom, and Willie James, with 5 flag boxcars, 2 regular TTX boxcars, 6 hoppers, and a caboose. Day 2, from Sydney to Omaha, saw UP 1776 cut in behind the tenders, running in reverse. At Omaha, the freight cars were cut off and the rest of the Union Pacific passenger cars were added. These would be Power Car 2055, Pony Express, Challenger, Promontory, Omaha, City of Denver, Walter Dean, and Lincoln. The train remained that way until it arrived in Chicago, when NS 1776 was added in front of UP 1776, and the 4 Norfolk Southern executive cars, those being the Virginia, Missouri, Delaware, and Marco Polo, were added to the rear. The train stayed in this configuration through to its layover in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Union Pacific 1616, the Abraham Lincoln, was sent to Scranton and joined the train there, taking up its position between the auxiliary tenders and NS 1776. This is how the train traveled down the Reading and Northern, down to Philadelphia, and out to Altoona, Pennsylvania. As a quick addendum, the West Coast portion of the trip appears to have had the exact same UP passenger cars, but with the Walter Dean and City of Denver having swapped places, and with UP 1616 and UP 1776 running behind the auxiliary tenders. As far as N-scale goes, I haven't followed that as well, but I know 4014 has been made in recent years by Kato, Broadway Limited Imports, and Athearn. Kato and Scale Trains both have the water tenders. It looks to me like Kato's about the only player as far as ready-to-run UP Heritage passenger stock, though they are making the 1616. I strongly suspect the other diesels from the tour will soon follow. Broadway Limited Imports indicated in a recent Q&A that they intend to offer N-scale coast-to-coast tour versions of 4014 in future. The coast-to-coast tour is not yet over at the time of this video's creation, and neither is my hunt for Union Pacific models to recreate the tour train. I plan on doing a follow-up video as things come together. In the meantime, if you're thinking about recreating the train in some form, I hope this video was of some help. One of the great things about model railroading is that selective compression is a thing. You don't have to put together the whole 16-car train to have a representation of the coast-to-coast tour. Skip a few cars here and there? No problem. What matters is whether you like it as a modeler. That's something that is lost in all the discussion of detail and accuracy. They're your trains, it's your hobby, you should enjoy it. Although several slots remain unfilled, I'll leave you with a few run-bys of the pieces I already have on hand, roughly recreating the Coast to Coast Tour consist, with Big Boy 4021 standing in for 4014. Stay safe out there. Okay, I do actually have a postscript to add here. I was about halfway through editing this video when word got around that Big Boy would be leading 5 diesels up Horseshoe Curve. The two added to the train were NS 2026 and NS 250. I do plan on doing a follow-up video in future, and hopefully we will see some new manufacturer announcements between then and now. I will go over any other consist changes on the train in the follow-up video, well after the train gets back to Cheyenne.